Well, I, 24, am the oldest child in a family of four, me, my mother and stepfather and my sister Jay, 17. I am a product of affair, and I knew it since I was 6 or 7 years old. I had a normal childhood, at least I had a bed to sleep on and food to eat, and I was not beaten by a drunken father. When I was 7, my mother and her husband had a baby girl, Jay. She became a favorite one in the family. My mother loved her because she was a girl, her husband because she was of his own blood. Yes, all that ideologies are still strong in my country. Our family wasn't poor, and Jay got all the best: toys, parties, education. I went to a local public school, Jay to the private institution. She had birthdays in the equestrian club. I never had a birthday party in my life. Same with the tech, my only devices were a laptop and a phone, gifts from my grandma on my 12th birthday. Jay had her own room with gaming console and wall-mounted TV. Same goes for vacations, free time and many more. At 15 I left home and started living with my grandma. She, and my part-time work, managed to help me with my hobby I had since I was 9, aviation and engineering. I graduated and got a scholarship in a not very bad university. Now I am an aircraft engineer, my childhood dream, and slowly starting my own life. My parents were never heard since I left them until yesterday. My mother called me and asked for us to meet and talk together. I asked, why? She said she wanted to restore our relationship, her as a parent, mine as a child. My answer was, I never had a good childhood with her as a parent, and if she wants to become a good parent for me, she can start with giving me things I was deprived in my childhood, like a TV or gaming console, or even money covering my basic needs like transportation. I still don't have a car, because I can't afford it. She called me greedy idiot and hung the phone. I just don't know who of us is right. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, as I don't believe you actually want physical things. You just want them to come to the table with something for once, especially since you know they can. You are asking them for actions, not words. You may not make much money, but by any societal standards you are successful based on your accomplishments alone. Re-establishing a connection at this point in time only has advantages for them. This is so horrible and hurts more than most physical wounds. I am truly sorry for that. I get what you're trying to do, but I'm going to just say this. If you actually want to rebuild a relationship, this is not the way. You can communicate to your mom what years of being neglected felt like and start to forgive, and gifts will probably flow in the future if they are that important to you. If you're not interested in the relationship and are just trying to get a TV out of your mom because you feel you're owed that, well, you might be somewhat right, you just might be the idiot. Not the idiot, but are you sure it's really the material things that upset you? Sounds like their attention and focus on your sibling also translated into her getting more material things and you feeling she was more loved. Your feelings are super valid regardless, and you're under no obligation to have a relationship with them. My 29 husband, 30, is a serial whiner. He moans and whines daily and constantly. I'm a pretty positive person and I know I'm very patient, but that has a limit. We have a son, 18 months, me and husband both work from home. Today he was bemoaning the fact that there was nothing for lunch in the house, but he didn't just moan, he started going on and on about how he was starving while I was trying to settle our son for his nap. I was trying my hardest to be patient. I even told him to wait for me to settle son, then I'd pop to the shop and grab something, but no. Despite the fact that I was clearly getting stressed because son was being difficult and was overtired, so was screaming and crying and didn't want to be touched, but wanted to be touched. Instead of offering to settle son himself, he just continued to stand there whining about being hungry. Eventually I snapped, I lost my cool and yelled, "Will you just effing stop?" and left him with son while I stormed outside with a cig to have just 5 minutes alone. He came outside and told me I owed him an apology, which I admitted I do, but I also explained that I've told him several times now that his non-stop whining was affecting me mentally, especially when it's me who does the food shopping, cleaning, getting up and dealing with son all day every day, while trying to stay positive, work and not go full Hulk and smash everything in a 6-mile radius. I reminded him that I've told him so many times that his constant moaning is like a pickaxe to my mental health, and every day it's chipping away at it, and I can't take it anymore. I'm at the point where I'm one whine away from a breakdown. Anyway, I later got a call from his mum, nan and sister who told me I was out of order for yelling at him and then lecturing him after apologizing as that negated the apology. It's made me doubt myself. Am I the idiot for telling him to just stop whining when I'm the one who deals with everything? He's a grown man, he can cook for himself, and you should not be the only one doing crap around that house when you are both at home full-time doing work from home. Well, I understand that you have a kid, it's called a marriage, you didn't take him on to raise like a kid, and let me tell you, those in-laws have 0% right to say a single freaking word to you. Not the idiot. I'm sorry, reading this put me in mind of my own damn marriage and the crap I've been through. Straighten his butt out now. If he's gonna go crying to mommy just cause you yelled at the poor little baby, he can go back to living with mommy. And while you married him, keep in mind, you married them too. Not the idiot. Yes, we could argue that you shouldn't have snapped, but under the circumstances, who wouldn't? Everyone has their breaking point. Why couldn't he have spent that time whining to go and get something for the two of you for lunch? He could obviously see you were busy. Does he contribute equally to chores and raising your child? From your post, it sounds like you're caring for 2 children. Your husband's behavior is not acceptable and his family are enabling him, but perhaps they do not know the full story. Not the idiot. Why didn't he scoot his happy butt down to the shop to get you both some food? You were obviously busy. And what country do you all live in, anyway? Just curious as to what age a person has to be before they cut the umbilical cord between a man and his mother. Obviously, for him to call his mommy and complain was way out of line, as was her and her posse then calling you. But you are tolerating it. Perhaps if you show him these comments, he will learn that grown men, 1. Don't act like whiny babies. 2. Are self-sufficient. 3. Don't involve anyone else in their relationships. 4. Take care of their wife and child. 5. Put their family's needs before their own. My 32 mum, 60, is very big on family Christmases. Her ideal Christmas is for all 4 sons and stepsons, wives and grandkids to all get together in a big cabin and spend several days together during Christmas, which she begins planning in June or July, none of which is typically a problem for my wife and I to attend and participate. Mum has also been on a very difficult downward health spiral for the past few years, which makes her big trips out to see all the family difficult and physically taxing for her. A couple years ago she was gearing up for a full family Christmas when at the last minute the house she rented cancelled. She calls me sobbing and saying that all of her planning had gone to waste and that there weren't any places available this late to accommodate our family and was struggling with the idea of having to start from scratch on finding a place. I said, why don't you and stepdad still fly out and spend smaller Christmases with each family? Stay with us for a few days, then go to my brother's, then drive down to our stepbrother's, etc. She responds by saying, would you be okay doing that? I say yeah, that would be okay with me and I'm sure, brother, would be happy spending Christmas in his new house, so would I. And you could come see them and not have to worry about starting from scratch. Side note, brother and I had both bought our first homes a month plus prior. She says she'll think about it and will keep me in the loop. I told her to let me know if there's anything I can do to help with the planning and organizing. A week or so later, I talked to my brother and mentioned the conversation with Mum. He tells me that Mum had already found another place and had already re-invited everyone. I asked why she didn't tell me. To which he responds, she said you said you'd rather spend Christmas in your new house. I was pretty mad and embarrassed that she was incorrectly telling the whole family that I would rather spend Christmas in my house rather than spend it with family. I called my mum, told her that I know she invited everybody to Christmas except for me. She gets defensive and asserts that I didn't want to come. I remind her I only presented that as an option because she was so upset and that with her health this year, I didn't think she needed the stress. We argue for a bit before she switches gears and then starts begging me to come spend Christmas with them. I felt so embarrassed at what she had been saying to the family and hurt that she didn't even tell me that they were rescheduling that I couldn't bring myself to go. Plus, I pointed out the place she rented didn't have enough space for my wife and I, further cementing that she didn't consider us when rescheduling. The rest of the family still got together that year and some of them thought that I should have just got over it and gone. Am I the idiot for not attending Christmas? Not the idiot. I think she might have found that place with no room for everyone, no other places were available, and thought that she could use what you told her about your new house as an excuse not to invite you and still have her fancy Christmas without looking like an idiot. When you found out and were mad, she tried to twist things to still be the victim. I don't know. Maybe my mind went there because that's something that my mom would do. My mom does stuff like this sometimes, and with her it's definitely an insecurity thing. She would have, wrongly, viewed you suggesting doing a few smaller Christmases as a hint from you that you didn't want to do a big family thing, even if it were possible, and would have thought she was doing you a favor by not inviting you to the big thing once it was planned. I don't know what your mom is like, but do you think this might be where she's coming from? Still not the idiot though. Everyone's the idiot here, I understand the majority vote here, but I just can't help but feel the petty coming off OP's own story. Like maybe it wasn't ideal, and maybe the mom misunderstood and made a mistake. Either way, her begging for OP to come when she had been dealing with extensive health issues, only for OP to be so caught up in, feels that OP missed out. I don't know, like I said, just feels petty. So, I transferred locations at work due to moving. I had not got my position from the previous store right away and worked really hard to get it back. Unlike my original store, this one had 2 people for the department rather than 1. I'll use a fake name for this, but a very similar situation. My coworker Anna was an older lady who has been working that department for 10 plus years, and she just could not get my name right. She's always called me Margaret rather than my real name Peggy. My birth name is Peggy, not really but close. She refused to believe me. Anytime she'd call for me I didn't respond because I never realized she was talking to me. She'd yell at me to get my attention and say stuff like, "Margaret, I need you to help this customer," and similar stuff, and I'd say, "Is Peggy?" But all she'd do would get dismissive and say, "Yeah, whatever, I'll call you what I like." I'd tell her no, I'd like to be called my name. I took the time to learn hers, a very difficult one at that, so call me mine. On a downtime she came to me and told me that she did not believe my name was Peggy and would never call me that. So she clearly knew what I want to be called, not forgetting. So the next day I brought my ID with me from my locker and showed her. She then went to management because I was being hostile with her. What the hell? Am I the idiot for just wanting to be called my actual name? Not the idiot. I hate this kind of craw. I don't care how uncommon a name may be to you, learn it. And learn people's preferences. Even if Thomas's real name is Thomas, if he prefers Tom or even Robbie, call him that. I'm a Laura, and the amount of people who have expected me to answer to Lauren or Laurie and get mad at me because I have no idea they're referring to me is astounding. Makes me think she would call a trans person by their birth name. It's always an idiot move. My grandfather had a similar situation with a teacher who refused to believe he was named Jack and thought it was disrespectful that he went by a nickname rather than John when he was 7. They hit him with a ruler, kicked him out of class, and made his mother leave work to come pick him up. She went absolutely ballistic at the school, and the teacher, when she arrived, it was one of his clearest memories of his mom until the day he died. This is as foolish and hurtful today as it was in rural Kentucky in the 1920s. Not the idiot. You're the only person who gets to decide what name you are known by your work colleagues. Your boss has zero say in this, as do management. You decide what name they call you, not your line manager, not your boss, just you. Take it to HR if you need to, but your line manager should respect your choice of name, especially if it is the one you use everywhere. No boss gets to decide what name you use at work, so put her back in her box. I have struggled with mental health my entire life. I attend therapy regularly and I'm medicated. I do the work to stay mentally healthy, but ever since COVID hit the United States, it has become difficult to deal with. I worked for a huge corporate hairdressing company. I have no control over my schedule, my clients, who I can and can't turn away if necessary, and emergencies are rarely accepted as reasons to leave early. It never used to be this way, but with COVID procedures and significant loss of business, all they care about is making money to stay open, which I do understand. My mental health is at an all-time low. I have never discussed it much with people who aren't directly involved in my care, but our general manager has preached up and down that she is here for us if we are struggling in this time. With the added stress of my own money loss, insane hours, and verbally abusive and entitled clients, I swallowed my pride and decided to tell her how I'm feeling. I met with her privately to ask for an extra day off for the next 2 weeks and explained to her that I was losing my will to live. I was crying and frankly humiliated that it had even come to this point that she had to see me this way. Her response was, "Well, you're forgetting we have a business to run. So no, we need you here." I was stunned. I couldn't believe she had just told me that. So I gently repeated to her that at the rate I'm going to die. She stood her ground. "You'll be fine. We need you here." I felt incredibly shamed and mortified. I didn't ask for a vacation, just 1 extra day a week, for 2 weeks. I didn't say anything else, and just carried on as I have for the rest of the day. Later that day I got several messages from my coworkers, concerned about my well-being. All of them asking if I was okay and begging me not to do anything rash. I have never told them anything about my mental health, so I was very confused. Turns out, the GM had told several of my coworkers what I had told her in confidence to complain. So the next day, I drove to the salon in my street clothes and spoke to the GM and told her I would not be returning based on how she had treated the situation. She tried to protest, but I just packed my tools and left. I got several phone calls and text messages after the fact. Some were supportive and said it was good that I removed myself after such callous treatment, but other people told me I'm being a dramatic idiot. Those people also said I caused massive stress for the salon because of the clients I had scheduled that day, had to be squeezed in with other people, and other stylists suffered verbal abuse at the hands of Karens that day. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I would go up to her boss with written statements from your colleagues that she breached your privacy after disregarding your health in such a callous way and that you have since quit as a result of this. Any texts or emails that have any evidence, send those too. In fact, don't send them just to your boss's boss. I'd send them right to the top and say that her actions could have potentially cost you your life, has already cost you your job and livelihood, and that you want to make them aware that there may be other vulnerable employees being treated this way and that you expect action from them. Don't let them get away with treating you like that. You did the right thing. I did the same. I spoke to my manager in a previous job and told him how my mental health was being affected, and then my friend gave me a number for a mental health charity in case I need a cause. She heard from him. I was so upset that I applied for jobs that night and got the interview for the job I'm currently in. When I handed my keys back and he was asking why I was leaving, I told him one word: you. Since I left, my mental health has improved tenfold. Best decision ever. Quitting a job for any reason doesn't make you an idiot. Quitting to take care of yourself is never an idiot move. Your GM talking about it to other coworkers is an idiot move at the least, and depend on circumstances might be illegal. Many lawyers are free for the initial consultation. Call 1 or 2 up and tell them this story and some details about what went down and how you were rejected for asking for extra days off.